neighborhood garage sale map.
I will make a map.
Yes.
Oh,
Richard?
Jennifer?
Okay, Richard Crockett, I'm the treasurer and on the communications and events committee. And I'm trying to get us going live on YouTube, so it's taking a couple seconds. But,
It's posting to YouTube now.
yeah, it's getting there. Yep, there we go. We're good.
Hi, Jennifer. Introduce yourself.
Great. I'm Jennifer. I am the secretary and I'm on the communications committee and events committee.
And she does our advertisement for the newsletter. So very important job.
Do you have new hair, Jennifer?
Same hair.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So I will begin our session by reading the land acknowledgement document that we've adopted, that we share before meetings. Can I share this screen?
I gave everybody permission.
Beautiful. Okay. Figure out how to do that. Okay, I'm gonna start it out, and anyone else that wants to pick up, like Jennifer and Kelly or Don, keep going. This is the land acknowledgement statement that we have adopted, and it's adapted from the Portland Metro Habitat for Humanity land acknowledgement statement. As a neighborhood, we acknowledge the unceded land we occupy and its original inhabitants include the Multnomah, Wasco, Cowlitz, Clackamas, Clackamas, bands of Chinook, Tualatin, Kayapuya, Molalla, and many other tribes who made their home along the Columbia River. Currently united as the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, the communities include over 30 tribes from bands from Western Oregon and Northern California and Southwest Washington. Next. Jennifer, can you pick it up? I can keep going.
We acknowledge that this land was seized through coercion, dishonesty, and brutality. We acknowledge the violent history of Euro-American settlement that sought to extinguish indigenous life from this land. We recognize the enduring influence of that history on our region and the nearly 70,000 Native people descended from over 380 tribes living here today. Many of the major roads in the Rose City Park neighborhood connected Chinook villages between three rivers, which white colonizers named the Columbia, the Willamette, and the Sandy, instead of honoring the older names, such as the Kiwana Great River for the largest river of the three.
The Rose City Park mission statement says Rose City Park Neighborhood Association works to build a safe, equitable, and healthy environment for all neighbors, present and future. Okay. And then I will share the neighborhood agreement. How to do this without losing you guys, I don't know. Still learning. Sorry, I'm slow. These are the communication neighborhood agreements on how we try to include those who are not here and honor the diversity that is not present in our group today, as well as in our speaking of such groups. So in June of 2021, Rose City Park Neighborhood Association adopted the following neighborhood agreements based on the community agreements from the Dunn-Fredidi White Labor Collective and agreement principles from the Historic Albina Advisory Board. They state, We will take collective and individual ownership. We will center and prioritize the most marginalized voices. We will assume best intentions, and we will bring our best intentions. We will use ouch and oops to identify harms and to swiftly apologize in reply. We will take space and make space. We will listen for understanding and remain respectfully engaged. We will deal with issues, not with people, and we will be willing to experience discomfort in difficult conversations. And we will expect that difficult issues will not be fixed quickly, but we'll continue to work continue our work to support and engage our neighborhood and related communities. Okay. So let me see if I can change the screen again. So has everyone reviewed our agenda for tonight? Are there any additions or deletions for this agenda? Yeah.
No.
I don't have any changes.
Okay. This is what we've got tonight. Okay, if there are no changes or deletions, additions or deletions, can I get a motion to go ahead with the agenda as presented?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, it passes. First, we'll review the minutes from our last board meeting on the 4th of January. Jennifer, you want to pull those up, or do you want me to do that?
Great if you could do that.
I only had a minor change because we did edit the minutes that were submitted. So I think we approved them as edited.
Okay. Just change it. I couldn't remember.
Under 3C, could we please change EM to Eastmoreland? So when we go back and look at this later, we'll remember what it is we're talking about. Under the neighborhood garage sale.
Eastmoreland.
Oh,
And make it Eastmoreland, please.
okay. In both places, because it does say Eastmoreland above that. But we can
Does it?
change Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, that's where my page turned, so I didn't catch that. Sorry. And then there was something else. I don't see anything else then.
So with that, can I get a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I so move.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Great. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Important to keep those minutes. Okay, treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report. I worked hard last night. Thought I had sent this, apparently did not. So here we are for the first month in 2022. You can see that we had money coming in for the newsletters. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 newsletter payments. We had some expenses for the newsletter delivery. That was for printer toner and bags used to separate the newsletters into the individual routes. and we got a little bit of interest from the bank. So we currently have $15,006.43 in the checking account. Any questions on that? Okay,
It's great.
then we have budget to date. And all these will be sent to Tamara. She can load it into the documents for this meeting. So if there are any questions, is the change shows here, and that's what we have. So on to Terry for the CNN report.
Yes. Terry, did you go to
Yeah.
Lou Top?
Oh, Lutop. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Basically, the meeting that we had last Wednesday was just a report from the various neighborhood associations that are in CNN, and that the two things that stood out to me were, one, the city has done some cleanup on the camp that's by Stan's Delicatessen on 82nd Avenue. If you know where I'm talking about, I don't remember the name of the street. And let's see, what was the other one? I was just thinking about it. Because there were two things that stood out. I was thinking about it before I came, and now I've lost my memory. Get back to me on that, will you, please? Because basically it was, I apologize. I had it and I should have written it down. And I was thinking, okay, I've got to give that report tonight. There was two things I got to give that were important in terms of some of the other neighborhood associations. And that was one of them. And there was one other one. So if I think about it before the meeting's over, but it was just a report of the neighborhoods. Sorry, I apologize.
Okay.
We already know what we're doing, so I don't have to go cover that again.
No, you
Did
don't.
the Cully TIF?
We didn't talk about that at all. No.
Okay.
I'm trying to even think which neighborhood it was. Oh, I know. It was Hollywood reporting for Grant Park. And the building at 33rd and Broadway, the old aircraft building that's kind of derelict now, where the fireplace store was in.
Yep.
That's going to become housing.
Oh, my goodness.
They're going to remodel that to housing and retail on the first floor. That was the other thing that I thought was kind of rather interesting that came from the meeting. I knew I'd think about it.
Any time frame on that?
No, I think they're still in the process of purchasing the building, from what I could gather. I mean, they've had several different overtures of what was going to happen to that building, and this is the latest.
Yeah.
Now, is that a historic building? Or-
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Because I guess they were building aircraft parts there for one of the world wars. And the building is going to have to be earthquake upgraded. I mean, it's the people that have been in the building look at it and say, but it's a blank slate because the floors above the first floor are almost all open. But you hit a wall or something like that, the plaster falls. So
Okay. Thank you for the report.
you bet.
Don?
On safety,
Nope.
Nothing.
Nope. I'm CNN.
on CNN. I was not in town for the last CNN meeting.
Okay. So did you have a chance to review their minutes and give us an idea of what they covered?
I just glanced at the minutes. I will be attending the CNN meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, Tamara, I thought of one other thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Roseway was rather interested in the same thing that we're interested in with PBOT, that they're not, the different projects are not talking with each other.
So we're talking about slow streets.
So we're talking about slow streets, the road through the golf course, 72nd Drive and whatnot. Yeah, they had thought that you know, the bicycle people aren't talking with some of the other people and this sort of thing. And so, and we also had a long discussion about the golf course, but that we already knew about that. So
Not everyone does, but we'll talk
well,
about that
the
later.
path around the golf course. Yeah.
Path around, yeah. Okay, that's proposed. We haven't
Yes,
seen
proposed.
anything more than being proposed at this point.
Yes.
Okay, let's go then to the last meeting we had, which was the general membership meeting, and talk about it. Get people's impression and what worked and what didn't. What do you think, Kelly? You weren't there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had a conflict, so I thought it was great.
There you go.
At communications last night, Linda Hoskins said that she really thought it was fantastic. And we discussed about, you know, the recordings. I'm not certain if we got the breakout rooms both recorded. Jennifer says she's seen her recording up on our YouTube channel, and I know I got the large one up there. But Tamara, when you ask about recording, I had given everybody you permission to do that. So I don't know why it was not telling you you couldn't, but I didn't know what to do in the middle, and I didn't want to mess up what was happening.
Well,
So-
you just went ahead and recorded, didn't you, halfway through?
I was recording all the way through, but I was recording probably where I was, which was all by my lonesome, because I figured somebody had to stay in that room so we didn't lose the whole meeting.
Okay, because I saw your face or your icon show up in our group.
Yeah, I think I bopped in. Okay.
Yeah, and that's when the recording started. So
Ah, all right.
I think what needs to happen is making sure that I'm a co-host, or whoever breaks out is a co-host. So then they have the authority to go ahead and record.
Sure.
I mean, it didn't, when you read all the guidance, it doesn't have, that you don't have to be a host to record. So I don't know what went on. Because
is
I
that
didn't
it-
have host permission. I don't think I had host permissions, but I could, or maybe I did, I don't know. But I did that. I think the other thing, like Richard could have come in and recorded, because when you do the breakout rooms, if the host stays outside the breakout, then it just creates a gap, basically it just like will stop recording and like wherever the host is, but it won't, if there's all the other people go to a breakout, it doesn't record. So there shouldn't be a big black spot in it. So the only other way to create another co-host, I think, is for you to actually just log in under the RCPNA video.
Like Kelly is.
Like Kelly is.
Yeah. So we just all use the same login. So we can't like make it. You just have to use that login.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't use that login, so maybe that was part of it. Okay, well, except for the technical glitches, how do you think it went? Nick, you were there? The meeting, general membership meeting? I know that was a long time ago. It was like the 25th of January. Did you join us?
I've got a list of who was there. I took a screenshot of the participants, and I don't have it
Okay, well,
in front of me.
how about you, Richard? What do you think?
I thought it went well, and it was, you know, people seemed to be responsible about reporting out what happened in their breakout rooms. And I think also that, you know, the timing, we had a longer time in the breakout rooms than we had anticipated because we started earlier. And thank you for just reminding me that we had until 8:15 to complete the breakout rooms, because I was going by the half hour that we had allocated. And it seemed that everybody was okay whenever we closed off breakout rooms. Nobody said, "Oh, I was in the middle of a sentence or something." So, and I think that's pretty automatic. It says it will close in 60 seconds after you say you're going to close it. So if
Okay.
somebody is in the middle, I guess that's where they stop.
Well, I thought if we can work through the little recording glitches, I thought it went well, from my end. And folks seem to appreciate the visuals that were available as well. The slides.
Yeah.
Well, I've got all those slides up on our webpage now. So if anyone wants to review them, they're up there under climate change as a topic.
You just stole my question. I was going to ask.
Okay. So let's move.
There was one more comment actually that came through about the one thing that I think might have been, and it's just really how we framed the question, was left wondering around the other breakout room. Like there were some people that kind of were interested in both topics, and they didn't feel that the report out was sufficient to alleviate that feeling of loss.
Okay.
So to our extent, we maybe just have a high level summary, maybe by the facilitator, like instead of just because I think we asked like, what was your like lesson learned or some, so it might just be like, can you give us a high level discussion point? I don't know. That was the comment. So.
Well, in groups I've been in as participant, it's always been more genuine whenever one of the participants gives the summary than the person who is the facilitator. Just saying, then there's a sense of ownership.
The other comment was just actually have multiple breakout rooms on the same topic, so that when you come back and you're all talking about the same thing, because the small group was actually really appreciated for conversation purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're kind of like, what did I miss? Because like your takeaways there could be some benefit from having that breakout, but like on the same space. Like maybe we were trying to accomplish too much by having competing programs.
Okay. All right, so this gives us a segue right into the March 29th general membership meeting that's coming up. And what's our deadline for getting newsletter for that?
February 9th.
February 9th. So we got all of 8 days.
Yep.
Come up with a topic and everything else.
That's usually what happens.
It is what usually happens. All right.
What is our meeting? What is the next meeting after the March meeting?
The May meeting, which is usually our candidates fair, as well as our board elections.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is because is the May meeting before or after the primary election?
After.
Yeah. You asked these questions and you should have already researched it before you came on the board. So you provide us that information.
Well, generally we have our general membership meeting on the last Tuesday of the month or the fourth Tuesday. And I'm thinking that the primary election is going to be more around the 20th or the 18th or the 15th or something like that. I haven't looked at a calendar, but it would be after the primary. And to me, this upcoming election, at least for city council, is probably one of the most important ones we've ever had. And by the way, I'm not running or anything, but I'm just saying, I mean, I just think it's real important, given everything I read about the what's going on in the city and people moving out and this sort of thing.
Well, I'm trying to put it in and do a search unless
It's
someone
May
else.
17th.
Okay, thank you. I see. That's what I was thinking about May 18th. I was just guessing. So it would be after the primary. So we may want to do a candidates fair at our March meeting,
I
at
think
least
you-
for city council.
I think you are correct. I've already been contacted by one person who's running against Hardesty. And
Who is
I've
that?
got-
Is it Renee or it starts with a V?
it starts with a V. It's
Yeah, yeah.
Mikhail.
Okay.
It's a
Pardon?
Russian.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, and he's
Russian.
actually on the Charter Commission and a few other
I think
boards.
I think he's a Portland State, does something at Portland State or something like that too. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Vladimir.
Would that be Vadim?
Vladimir is his name.
Is it Vladimir or Vadim?
Well, maybe it is Vadim. I thought it was Vladimir was his first name.
I
but
think it's
could be wrong.
Vadim.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But I do know who you're talking about. And then there's Renee, that's another one, and I don't know his last name. He was on one of the local talk shows this weekend.
Okay, what else do we have going? We've got, is it Dan Ryan?
Yeah,
And
Dan.
Hardesty?
And Hardesty.
Do we have any initiatives or ballot measures?
That I don't know, but I think the city council is the most important for,
Oh,
you
I
know,
think so too. That, I mean, just that alone would be quite the evening.
I think that's what we ought to do, is just that by itself, to be honest with you.
Anyone running for auditor? Isn't the auditor stepping down or something?
That could be, yeah. That would actually go with it, city council, or I mean, a citywide candidate, yeah.
The city auditor?
She is stepping down. I've heard that. She is going to step
Really?
down.
Yeah.
She's just been appointed in charge of the, what is it, Police Oversight Board?
Yeah, but I don't know whether she's up for reelection on this primary or not, or she's got another 2 years. I don't know.
Okay. So we've got the classic, oh my God, we got to get it done in 8 days. So who would like to work with me pulling together these events? So this as an event, because we have a short period and we need to get all the different folks lined up to speak. And I will take on Hardesty and those running against her. If someone else will take on doing the research for Dan Ryan. And
you're
getting them to-
aware that not everybody at this point is, I think they have until sometime in March to register, like March 13 or something like that, to register to run. So, we
Well,
may
you
have
know,
some
if they don't do
summer.
it early enough, we won't get them on our, you know, they won't get a screening from us. So I think we just have to let it be what it is.
Well, we could make it open-ended too, you know, the people who have registered at the time of the print deadline, this is who we're inviting. And there's a possibility that we will invite others if there are other registrations.
Sure. Sure.
I know Linda won't like that, but you know, it's the timing is such that you just got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
Well, and also there's only so much time we have to allocate, you
Right.
know, so you want to make sure that each person has a chance to give their opening remarks and then maybe work as a panel to field questions. I don't know.
And we may have, you know, a dozen people in the race. I mean, or in the races.
So do we think it's highly likely this could be an in-person event in March?
That's a good question.
I kind of doubt it. I'd rather err on the side of safety. And it might be
What,
easier
what,
to
does
attend.
fall under a certain committee or, sorry,
Supposedly it falls
Have you
under
guys-
what's called the events committee, and right now Jeff is not with us, who is supposed to be leading up the events committee.
well, this is like a specific event. It's not part of a regular meeting, the
Well,
candidates.
it's
this-
part of our regular general membership meeting. We have 4 of those a year.
Oh, okay.
And I think what we're doing is treating them like events, so we can have people participate, and, you know, they don't have to be on the board to participate. Okay, we have information from Jennifer in the chat line.
That's
Nadine?
that's the candidates who are certified, candidates who filed a notice of intent for auditor and city commissioner. Oh wait, and then there's one more. Sorry, I thought I caught it all.
Okay,
Yeah, looks like a cutoff at DA.
That is just contact the people who put together the page. So, but then there's the Dan Ryan
Oh, okay.
and
And how many
AJ
are running?
McCreary. Just one person running, sort of like, so then there's the people that the notice of intent, and I think if you were thinking about, you know, I think you could probably open it to those people too, because they've actually made a filing. So it'd be 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, there's some people that like 1, 2, 3 that cut out. So yeah, I don't know. It's like there, I can put the information, like the web link in, but I mean, you just have your certified candidates, like as of this point.
okay, what we've done in the past, like when Ed led this, we would have a lead person for the event, sort of a master of ceremonies as far as the scheduling and figuring out who fits in what slot, and making sure that we had time, adequate time for each participant. And I don't have the bandwidth to do that. So I want someone else to take the lead on this. Kelly? Can you step up?
I'm not sure that that's in my schedule parameters. Who that isn't in this meeting can we volunteer?
Allison,
Allison, Stephanie,
Stephanie?
Yep,
but Stephanie's working on the
fundraiser.
garage sale. Yeah. No, we want
We got Allison and Jeff.
Jeff. I mean, Jeff just has a class that conflicts, like not necessarily like his whole like world conflicts. So
Yeah, he's finishing up. I think that goes all the way through May, though. He's finishing up his master's, or I believe,
Yeah.
which is a lot to do while you're working full time too. So, and Allison, her mother passed away from COVID.
Oh,
So that's kind of why she just faded out for a little bit here. I've seen her at Fraser Park a couple times, and we've talked. But I'm not sure why she's not here tonight, other than that. So, Don, can you help step up?
Well, again, I'm traveling in February and March, but I'm not traveling this week. I would be happy to help somebody send out some emails and coordinate some people, do some of that stuff. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay,
If I've got some sort of idea about what the format's going to be, what the email should be. But I'd be happy to send out some emails to potential candidates, get their responses, and coordinate that back to somebody.
Okay. I hate to do this. I hate to be the friggin' lead all the time because I'm not going to always be here. So you guys have to figure out how to do this. So I will take Hardesty if you want to take Ryan.
I'll take Ryan, and I'll take the auditor as well.
Okay, great.
One thing I don't know how to, Jennifer, where did you get that information?
I put the link in the chat, Don, but I Googled it.
Oh, okay, it's just candidates running for in the May primary.
I
Mhm.
think you can go to the city's website and see who's actually filed. I don't know about the intent part. Because I've looked
If
at the
you-
cities, the city,
Yeah.
the city, I think it's under the.
It's from the
auditor.
city. The link I put in there is from the city. So
Okay.
just go to the city website that I put in the chat, and it will take you exactly to participants that are certified in the 2022 elections.
Okay, I'm not sure how to get into the chat after the meeting is over, how to access that later.
But you can actually click on it now.
I'll
Okay.
send it in an email.
Thank you.
That works.
Mhm.
Luddite that I am, I appreciate that.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a full meal deal.
Yeah,
Okay, we've got the topic for the for the March 29th meeting. Woo. Okay.
And you know, people have like at our Lutop meeting, well, we'd like to get this commissioner or this person or that person there. And of course, you've got to have the full boat of all the candidates. So I think this is a meeting that will really draw because people aren't happy with things that are going on with the city right now.
Right.
Yep.
And the format that we've used in the past, for those that don't know, we usually have the speakers by number, you know, and they're numbered 1 through 5 on as commissioners. And so we would go that route and then typically give the presenter 7 minutes or something like that to present, and then do like a 3-minute Q&A. So I'm not sure. I'll have to go back through my files and find out what the agenda looked like before and get some of Ed Gorman's notes from our last year's event. And I do like having half and half. I like having, you know, equal amount of time asking questions as, you know, them just pontificating. That's my thoughts. What do people think about that format going forward?
Sounds good to me.
Okay,
if there's enough time, I think it would be the thing to do. And that's going to be dependent upon how many respond.
that's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
I think in 2018, I think I was the timekeeper for the thing, but I don't remember the times.
Well, I don't want to reduce it below 7 minutes per person. So then I'm going to just,
You only get 3 minutes at City Hall when you testify.
I know, but I'm just saying, you
I'm
know,
teasing.
for the grace of our populace, and allowing people adequate time to respond, you know, or ask questions.
So
I
are you
think-
saying 7 minutes total or 7 minutes just for the,
Total. I'm not going below that. Total.
so that's total. So that includes questions and it includes whatever they say. Okay, that makes sense.
That would be my,
So that makes sense. I was gonna say, if you let them ramble on for 7 minutes on
No.
their own, that's quite,
no, I wouldn't do that.
okay.
Okay.
So not to push back, just one more time, Tamara. Do you think the candidates would have an expectation of doing this in person in March? Might be a question that you ask them when you interface with the candidate. if everybody else is going to be in person in March for similar affairs, we might think about it.
Okay,
It would be a
You know,
good
I think
question
we could
to
just-
ask.
We could just include that in our emails, asking them to participate, saying that if it's safe, we'll try to hold this in person, and if not, we'll do it by Zoom.
Yeah,
We
I think-
don't know what it's going to be yet, and they don't know either. So
I like that approach, Don.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. I would love to have it in person, you know, that's so much better energy,
Oh, yeah.
you know, than watching a screen.
And we get 100 people there if it
Oh,
was
easily.
or more.
Oh, sure.
That's a good point.
So who at the German American Society do we have to confirm if this is an available date for them?
Someone named Nancy. She is now the vice chair for German American Society board. I've got her name somewhere. In fact, it's probably on my phone. So I can get that information out to you if you want it, or do you want to work on the schedule for us, Kelly?
Sure.
Okay,
You send me the contact information for the German American Society and I'll see if we can get them to hold the space, depending on what circumstances are.
great. I will. All right. Now we've got concerts in the park. Do we
right
have
on time.
you have concert, right now we have a grant in to Central Northeast Neighbors to help fund that. Hopefully we'll fund that for us. I don't know if Hollywood got their application in as well, because they were thinking about it once they found out we were doing an application for that. So do we have any idea when that would be? The dates for that?
Usually it's the last 2 weekends in June, isn't it? I mean, July.
Yes, and I don't remember what the dates are. Hold on. I have a lot of windows open right now.
And you know, while you're looking up those dates, there's-
23rd and 30th.
okay, there's something that I think the board ought to be thinking about as well, is the golf course is planning this day of whatever, which I forget what they're calling it now.
It's called a community day, you know?
Community Day, and it may be that it would behoove us to move the concert to the golf course as part of that activity, if in fact it's one of the dates that we normally would have the concert on. I mean, we could work in partnership with them. It actually might even make the grant come through a little better. I don't know, but it's just a thought. It came up during the meeting with Vincent, who's trying to put this community day together at the golf course, which, you know, it's tours of the golf course, let people try out golf clubs. There's just all sorts of ideas that are, you know, nothing's been settled on that yet. We're still working on it, but it might be that the concert would be a good evening activity as part of that, even though it's sponsored by us. Just a thought, and I'd like to hear what the other board members think about that.
So you don't have a date for that community event?
No, we do not.
Do they?
No.
Oh, okay.
I say we do not because I guess I'm part of the committee.
Oh, all right. Well, we're just gonna have to wait for it then.
I mean, it would just be a matter of moving it to a different location. If it's one of the same dates as what we normally do our concerts.
So I know
Yeah.
Jennifer put in hold the date with the Parks Bureau. What date was that?
The 23rd.
23rd. Okay.
Okay. So
So
does
right now,
Hollywood-
we've got the 23rd and the 30th, right?
Right.
does Hollywood know the 30th to put in for their hold?
I have no idea.
Okay.
We had talked about that a while ago, and now I'm just looking back through these emails and seeing that Joe had said that they might not go through the hassle of. So I guess I need to follow back up with Joe, because I thought we had discussed that like kind of a while ago.
We had, and then what happened is Joe was flabbergasted because she heard that we might not have concerts in the park through apparently the discussion that was held at Lutop. And I hadn't gone and spoken with her because I assumed, you know, Richard had settled or had spoken about Joe wanting to withdraw. And so I didn't go to her directly. I just took it as a settled matter that she wanted to withdraw. And so she was upset. And so I'm trying to, you know, smooth over ruffled feathers at this point, make sure that we're still moving ahead.
Boy,
So I don't know.
I don't remember that conversation at Lutop. I mean, we didn't have anything, nothing was said at the last meeting, but
Maybe it was
a
at
CNN
board.
meeting. I think it was a CNN meeting.
okay, that could be. Yeah, because I don't think anything came through Lutop about the concerts.
Okay. And we have a new passcode as well for entering the German American Society. So whoever's needing access, let me know. I entering all this information of contact for Nancy Carr, who is actually the interim president.
CARR.
Yes.
And yes, I still have the fob.
That's a good thing. Here's the information.
Ah, got it.
All right. Okay. So I know that there's a general schedule for concerts in the park, everything from reserving the space to starting to reserve or arrange for the performers, the cost of the performers, arranging for the sewer, arranging for the trash pickup. So all those different steps, I think, are bulleted somewhere, maybe on a worksheet. Jennifer?
Yeah, there's a master worksheet that has all of those steps on it. And I haven't been there and looked at it in a while, but it's something that Ed set up that has not only those set up, but for the general meetings and all sorts of things. So it's all in there. I think the first thing is we got to find out, is Hollywood, did they get an application in? And are they looking at the 30th? And if we've got those two things, then we need to find out, somebody needs to find out how to follow through and get those underway.
Okay. Can you contact Joe for us, Richard?
Connect with Joe, because I had an earlier conversation with her. So I'll just email her back and see if we
Okay.
can get it all back on track.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Good.
Thank you.
What's the status of the grant? And when do we know about that?
I don't know.
Knows?
I kind of feel like that was mid-February or something.
Yeah, it was, the original was like the first week, but then they put the deadline back a week. So it's probably mid-February before we hear anything on that.
The two. Okay. So, well, let's move ahead as if and make sure that everyone has access to that website. So we've got new members like Allison who may have never seen that website or spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So if you have a link for the
I'll
spreadsheet,
I'll
you
make
put
a
it
note,
into the chat line here too.
go in and find that.
Okay. All right. So now we're moving on to budget. We're just
Garage sale.
Yep,
Please.
garage sale. And as I heard from Terry at the very beginning, before we started the recording, he has not gotten any information back from Eastmoreland or Laurelhurst on the dates that they are proposing theirs. And the idea is to choose a date that, or dates, so it would be a weekend, Saturday and Sunday, that they would not be having theirs. So we don't want to compete with them.
Yeah, and I have tried, I've sent emails, I've done some follow-up telephone calls, and I have had nothing. I even went through Southeast Uplift to try to get it and check their websites, and I just haven't found anything. And I thought it'd be a little bit easier than what it was, because the person that I was going to contact in Laurelhurst isn't involved anymore. And I still may have one person I can contact in Eastmoreland, but I'm not sure how much involved he is, and I've got to get his phone number, but I know where I can get it.
And Don, yes, I'll send you the format for the candidates fair. I think that's probably in the worksheet as well.
What do you guys think about picking a tentative date of like the 17th and 18th of July for the concerts?
I think they already stated the 23rd and 30th of July. Is that right, Jennifer?
No, for the garage sale.
Oh, you just said the concerts. So,
No, I meant it's the week before the concerts.
oh.
That
Well,
probably would be a good tentative date, because August would be a lot hotter. And that probably would be a good date to have it. I'm thinking, like I was telling Tamara before everybody got on, I'm thinking that Eastmoreland and Laurelhurst have theirs in June, but I'm right after school's out. And actually they have competed against each other at least once in the past, but I don't remember for sure. It's been a couple of years since I've been to any of their sales.
Well, this is like Stephanie's thing, right? She is the one that is gonna lead this effort.
yeah, she's leading it. And we also have Nick, who's already pulled together a nifty visual. Let's see if I can
Map.
pull it up. Yeah.
While you're pulling
Still
that
in
up,
progress.
are we going to have both a printed and a electronic map?
That's the idea.
Okay, because I don't know whether Laurelhurst or Eastmoreland ever had electronic maps, but they certainly had printed maps, and they would say in their advertising who had those to hand out, which was usually like on the fringes of their neighborhood. You know,
Terry,
which garage
yes,
sales had them.
they do have electronic maps. I've found them.
Okay.
Looking in past years. So they do that, and I don't know how they do that. Nick, some years ago, I pulled down a neighborhood association map from the city. So I don't know if you're having a good time making up your map, or if you want to go see if you can find it from the city. I'm
like 80% of the way there.
okay.
But maybe I could still look it up anyway.
Yeah, let me see if I've got anything on here that tells me.
Okay, this is what he's got so far as the neighborhood map.
Yeah.
I've got more streets on it now. That was a couple hours ago.
Okay, and it's looking really good.
Yeah, this came from the Office of Neighborhood Involvement and Bureau of Planning back in June of 2001. So I don't know if they have anything updated since then, but it does have all the streets in it. And if you're having a good time with your map making, have fun.
Yeah. I don't get to do graphics so much anymore.
Yeah, part of it is getting the names in there. It's not the street names or something like that. That could be a little bit hard. So people know that this is
Yeah.
Halsey and this is Sandy and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll label everything. And then I'm thinking numbers for the actual addresses, and then with a key or a list down
Yeah, they
below
just-
or on the side or something.
What they did, what the others did was they had a number of the sale, like sale number 1, number 2, number 3, and
Correct.
I don't know how they did that. And then they had on the back side, they would have the address of that number and maybe a little bit of what they had, whatever the person that was having the sale submitted. You know, I've got furniture, I've got clothing, I've got whatever.
Okay, yeah, I guess it just depends on how much description there is. It could be two-sided if it needs to be.
But
And then I'm
one
not
side
sure
was
what
just all
the
text.
idea is for the electronic one. They're just having the image online or PDF online, or we haven't gotten that far yet.
It would be to have an image online, and hopefully we could also on the backside have advertisement to help pay for it. We'll see.
How do you have the back side of online?
I don't know. You just said it would be a 2-pager. That's how.
Yeah, you just have it, you drop down.
Like you have to flip the screen around.
Okay. Will you demonstrate?
You stand up and you look behind it. Oh, yeah, there it is.
On the back side of the screen. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Oh my. Okay. One thing that you had brought up at the last meeting, Terry, was the idea of if we hold the garage sale after the concerts in the park, you can advertise it to folks there
True.
at
That's
concerts in the
true.
park.
That would put it into the first weekend in August.
It would. These days, September is hotter than August. So that might be, or since I don't have any kids, I don't know how having a garage sale during May would work. Would that be just too chaotic because everybody's getting done with school and
I think so, yeah.
making plans?
Yeah, any of the neighborhood garage sales that I've been to, and there's been some outlying neighborhoods too. I mean, I used to go every weekend to garage sales years ago. And, what's the one that's out in Park Rose? They had one, and there was one in Northwest, and
Well, I'm
one-
just talking about
but
dates.
none of them were during school time is what I'm getting at, is what I was getting at. It was-
Okay, that getting to the topic is really helpful. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right.
I
So-
would just, as a parent, I would say that people are less likely to go out of town while school is in session. So as opposed to the summer when you do have to, you do
That's true.
vacation and or go places. And also as an events committee member, and not sure if the garage sale is going to end up in that direction, but it's a lot of pressure on the precious few volunteers that, to have multiple weeks in a row of like doing events, because that limits potentially my ability to go places. So,
Yeah.
I'd like to have the summer off too and not spend 3 or 4 weekends in a row doing neighborhood association stuff, which, I guess I don't have to, but I've always kind of felt like that was part of the gig. So I would rather it be May, but
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to be the one that's going to push that forward.
Well, if we did it in May, when does the newsletter come out? in May,
Well, we have a general meeting at the end of May,
right?
so the newsletter comes out like early May.
The also though in May, you've got to think about what the weather's going to be.
It's been
know.
dry. It will continue to be dry for the most part.
It's raining now.
Not
I'm teasing.
really.
Well, yeah, it is.
Spraying here. Okay. All right. I like May just because it's spring cleaning time. And it's a way to get things out of the house, get everything opened up, and then you can move on with the spring. So
Is that when we had our cleanup? That was in May, wasn't it?
yeah,
Our
it was.
cleanups were in May. Yeah. Of course, when it did rain, we had a nice covered area, at least for the sale part of it.
So let's, do we have a general priority here? Let's see a show of hands for May. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Those for June. Okay. Those for August. Okay. 1, 2.
I think
And
raised his
Richard
hand
put
for
his thumb
June.
up for what?
That was for June.
June. Okay.
Sorry, I can't get it there. It went down finally.
Okay.
Do you want to take it back? You want to talk to Stephanie? Because I feel like she was also like,
Oh yeah, I plan to, but I just want to give some guidance. You know, if we have a chance to ballpark where it's going to be, then it'd be good to make sure that we have it timed out with the newsletter, with people's schedules, and not conflicting with the other ones. So just needing that guidance so we can move forward.
And I will continue to pursue getting dates on the other ones. Don't. I will see what I can do.
Okay. Entered into the chat line is the all-purpose Google spreadsheet that has information about the scheduling for Concerts in the
Everything.
Park,
Yeah.
all of our events, candidates fair, those type of things. So that's a great resource for everyone.
And I tried to just make some edits to it and I could not. So it said to send a message to the owner, who I have no idea that might be. So I did. So we'll see if somebody responds. I don't know if we have that access or if that still goes to Mr. Gorman, but I'm sure if it goes to him, he'll let us know.
I know I have access, so I'll make sure that you get it as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, next on our topic is where are we on other things? Just to keep it on, it's like a parking lot, okay? We've got the initial steps for board training. I'm waiting for information back from a provider. We have the grant policies that Stephanie, Richard, and I were going to talk about how we spend our money, and using the George Walker Award certificate letter as a part of that. If there's aspirations and things like that, we could copy some of that. We already talked about candidates fair. We have board elections happening in June, not June, May. I have a burning desire to help in dealing with our dying trees of the neighborhood. Because of the drought, all of our street trees are looking really bad. And so, in talking with several folks, including Chad Honnell and others, the best way to deal with that for all age trees is to get chips mulch on them at this point. And so I am trying to start up a chip drop brigade so we can get chips at all the street trees throughout the neighborhood, so we don't end up becoming more like Colorado. because I'm worried about fires. I'm worried about an urban fire. Now, we have the golf course event, Community Day happening. Right now, Terry is our representative. The question is, Joe has been kind of identified as a representative, even though he's not on our board. The question is, are there members here that want to be a representative on that committee with the golf course? Because we have 2 slots, actually.
Do they have to be a board member?
Ideally, it would be someone that would be on the board or somehow connected in one of our committees.
The only reason I said that, because if Joe's enthusiastic about it, I mean, I would think that he would be a good one. I mean, he's on there in part because of the playground thing, I think.
Yeah. And I did talk to him about that. Say, Richard, do you have a Gmail account?
Yes,
If you could put that in the chat, I will send you a copy of this website or them.
Yeah. I will tell you, I was Vincent, who's running this he's the golf guy at the city. I don't know exactly what his title is, but he actually asked me if I would be on it because I've attended a couple of the meetings.
Okay. All right. Well, I will work on making sure that everybody has access to this worksheet. At least we've got the toggle right there for getting onto the worksheet, and I will see if I can get Richard editorial access as well.
So Tamara,
Yep.
if Joe were to become our representative, then would we have to take a vote for the board to approve Joe to represent the board, even though he's
Yep.
not a board member?
That would be it.
Because you want a motion to that effect?
Sure.
I move that we nominate Joe, can't pronounce his last name, Saraceno, is that
Yep.
right?
That's right.
To represent the board along with myself on the golf course community day committee.
I second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes.
That way he's more than just a neighbor.
Right, it is true. So, and the last item that I had as an add-on to next steps is there was an article or a large article by Nextdoor to all of the leads talking about racism, and that the format has been used for creating racist remarks, for tracking people who don't look right in the neighborhood. So there's a lot of things that happen. And I wanted to see if we wanted to make a statement on Nextdoor for Rose City Park for our area in regards to that. And what I propose is to support this statement put out by the organizers of Nextdoor, saying that we need to watch that as leaders and do our jobs as moderators. Is that acceptable to everyone?
I think it's a great idea. I avoid that thing like
I
a
do
plague
too.
because it's so negative.
I do too. So anyway, I will do that on behalf of the board. Do we want, so I made the motion, let's say Richard seconded it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, unanimous. Okay, now we're down to committee reports. And Kelly, you want to lead us off?
So I have in front of me the report that essentially I think Tamara outlined for the general meeting. So I'm not gonna go through that again, but I think it's important for the board to understand that the Land Use and Transportation Committee made a decision to encourage PBOT to install these crosswalks at 62nd and Sacramento, and also to deal with the 64th and Brazee. So after that Land Use and Transportation committee meeting, we've gotten some pushback from both the committee members and from some neighbors are essentially faulting the procedure we went through. So there's some brouhaha happening. So I guess
It's primarily about the bollards being put in at 62nd, not the crosswalk.
correct. So I think that Tamara and I need to put our heads together and figure out what our approach is going to be to deal with these neighbors and decide what we're going to do at the next committee meeting. I just think it's important that the board knows that there are some issues there.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too, because the feedback that I've got is the neighbors are not happy, not with the crosswalk, but with the signs, the height of the signs, and the signs that are going to be in the middle of the street. And I will say, it was either yesterday or the day before, I came down 62nd after getting gas, because I get gas at 57th and Fremont there. And I came down 62nd to come to my house, and they have already spray painted the street at 62nd. They put a circle in the street where they want to put that big sign. So it seems like PBOT's moving forward rather rapidly on this.
Yeah.
I
Let's
feel
put our
like
heads
that
together.
that paint has been there for a long time.
Oh, has
Like-
it?
like-
Okay.
Yeah, like
At
for
62nd as opposed to the 64th?
Mhm. There's paint all over Sacramento, and
okay,
has
all
been
right.
for
All right, I hadn't noticed it
more?
before, because when I get gas, I oftentimes come back 62nd because there's a light to cross Sandy there. And I noticed it's not always in the daylight, but I noticed it a couple of days ago when I got when I went and got gas. So, all right, but I do know that there was some, like Kelly said, pushback from the neighbors that live on Sacramento that it's too much.
Well, in the motion, we did want to make each one of those bollards more of a garden bollard. And if they could put the signs to the side, that would be great, especially at 64th, which is a recognized view corridor.
Yeah, but
on
what I
Sacramento.
remember that was also, it was okay to go ahead and do it temporarily, but temporarily means, or do what they want to do temporarily, but temporarily can become permanent, or it can become several years.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I've started up a chat point on the RCPNA Slack. So there is a topical place where people can talk about this.
Okay,
And so that's, I've already invited Sharon and Susan and a few other folks, Ben.
Okay.
And so the idea is copy you guys on the letter that I'm almost done with to Scott Cohen. And then we'd go from there.
yeah, because I think it's real important that the people that live on Sacramento have a lot to say about what's happening in the street in front of their house or homes or whatever.
Do they get like extra rights? Because I would like the people not to block me in when I'm trying to leave and they're trying to park and drop off their kids at school, but we don't
Well,
actually get extra rights.
Well, you're talking about school. I'm talking about where people live 24 hours a day. You know, I mean, I
Well,
kind of,
people who go through there with their kids after hours is, may not live right next to that viewpoint. So
yeah, but
that came out very strong at the meeting. I mean, we had probably equal amount of folks saying, we really want these bollards in place because we take this route with our kids. We bicycle through here.
but they weren't the people that
as
live
those
there
that opposed
24
it.
hours a day. It's just like a neighbor of mine, and I mean, it was a friendly conversation, but she'd like speed bumps on our street, and I says, I hate those. I mean, and I know another neighbor doesn't like them either. But I mean, if something like that were to happen, then the people on the street need to be the ones that say, hey, yes or no. And I don't know that when I get all this feedback that's people are not liking what we did about Sacramento, I'm concerned. I mean, somebody that lives a few blocks away and says, well, I drive through there. I drive down Sandy every day. So
Well, you can't make everybody happy, Terry. That's part of the job here, you know? You try,
understand that.
It's like cutting the baby in half. It's not easy.
I would say as like somebody who works in the utility industry and works in the right of way, there is some pretty clear guidance that the adjacent homeowners, like adjacent property owners, actually don't get extraordinary rights, because then you kind of have the NIMBY effect, right? So everybody in the city of Portland owns all of the city of Portland right of way equally. And so you kind of get the way in. I think that people try to accommodate, but that they really can't have this overarching thing. And I will say that those bollards, those candlesticks that everybody complains about, has made me feel significantly safer, because I've almost been hit in that area 3 or 4 times with my dogs. So, I mean, I'm on that exactly where we're talking about 2 or 3 times a day, often in the dark. And I have definitely, I've screamed at drivers because they'll turn and they do not see you when you're walking. And so I think it's really important to have these mechanisms in place. I would like to ask Tamara if there's like part of our inquiry about the bollards versus the planters, because I have to imagine there's a significant budgetary difference there and maintenance.
There's not a budgetary difference from what I
cost more to put a planter in and water it.
No, I think it's up to the neighbors to water it. So the maintenance is greater, but it does have a lot better curb appeal. And if they want to have curb appeal, then they have to help maintain it.
Jennifer, when you're talking about bollards, are you talking about the plastic candlesticks, or are you talking about the big thing, the tubs that they want to put in the middle of the street?
I'm talking about that big piece of cement that has a giant sign in the middle that says "slow down." That one.
That somebody could
Concrete
crash
steel.
into.
Yeah. You crash into it, you're doing something wrong.
That's true, but the city has been sued over something like that before.
I mean, the nice thing about that giant sign, you might think it's like ugly, but I think people hit those planters when there's not a big sign sticking out and it's kind of low.
That's a good point too.
Okay, moving right along.
Yes.
So just to complete with the Land Use and Transportation Committee report, we toured last week the cause on 47th, which used to be the Umpqua Bank Apartments. So Terry, Tamara, Richard, and I toured that building, had a very nice tour. They are 59% occupied and 65% leased. They are doing a survey of the residents to see how many cars they have and where they park. So I think we're going to have ongoing discussion with cause about parking and other issues. So next is the sidewalk infrastructure. So we had a neighbor, Raymond Saul, come to our meeting in January, who is a big proponent on trying to complete the sidewalk infrastructure within Rose City Park, including around Normandale and Rose City Park. So Raymond has drafted a letter that he sent to Tamara and I. So Tamara and I need to put our heads together and figure out this letter as to what we're going to say to the city engineer. We're going to essentially invite the city engineer to attend one of our committee meetings and talk about how you go about completing sidewalk infrastructure within the city and if there are any funds or grants available. So we need to find out a little bit more about that. So Raymond has reached out to me, Tamara, and wants to get together this week. So I'll sit down with him and chat a little bit, but you and I need to put our heads together about that. Finally, the Cully tax increment financing, or the TIF project. Tamara's invited Roger Gonzalez from Prosper Portland to come to our meeting in February. I don't know if you've heard anything back from him, Tamara?
No, nothing.
So anyway, he asked to come to a meeting, so we've invited him. We'll see what happens there. That's all I got.
Two quick comments about the tour that we had. One, the building is not air conditioned. They had ceiling fans in all of the rooms. And two, the studio apartments, which have a little kitchenette, are actually smaller than the motel room I had in Puyallup a couple of weeks ago that also had a kitchenette.
Yeah, they're very tight.
Yes.
And I echo those concerns about the fact that there's no air conditioning. And they have banks of these units facing west. So, 47th Street. So they will get the direct sun. They have windows that do open slightly, like, pivot out just like this much. But that doesn't necessarily bring cool air in when it's hot outside. So I do have concerns about that as well.
And I wanted to bring up that they mentioned that they're looking at the possibility of reaching an agreement with the orthodontist or chiropractor to the south on using their parking lot for the folks that do have cars. So I don't know that what's going to happen with that, if that's going to be depends upon what their survey finds or what might happen there. But there is a pretty good sized lot there. And of course, overnight, but wouldn't be needed. But as a business, I'm certain he'd like to have it available for his customers to come in too. So we'll have to see what happens with that.
Yep. Okay. Communications. Jennifer. Richard.
I got it. So we kind of talked about this before, but our deadline for our March newsletter is February 9th. So we will need to have an article about the March general meeting. And then this is just kind of a reminder for all of our regular contributors, Tamara and Kelly, who provide such great write-ups for us. Every week, we're also going to feature our neighborhood yard sale, hopefully. Like that was kind of the plan. So hopefully we can connect with Stephanie so we have some more information. And then maybe if we don't want to have it if we don't want to have the yard sale, or maybe that just gets put into the May newsletter. So we just need to figure out timing on that. I know that was kind of like we were trying to work through that. We're also open to other ideas for contributions. So if anybody has something that they would like to write about, we are going to feature also a local swap and play nonprofit that was started and is in the Rose City Park Methodist Church. Thought we, depending on space, might have an article or little tiny story about our land acknowledgement that we share at the meetings. And we are going to do a request for photos for our website. So a lot of the back end work for the redesign has been done, but we don't really have a lot of good photos that we want to feature on our website. So we're going to put a call out for landscape formatted pictures that can scroll over the larger top of the website. And then also just to collect around the neighborhood photos that we can put into our gallery. And so we can potentially feature those out on our social media, but just want to kind of freshen it up. We've had the same picture that I think the City Parks Bureau took a long time ago. So kind of open that up a little bit. And then
Jennifer, while you're looking, do you want any historical photos?
Sure.
I may be able to supply you with some historical photos. I supplied our booklet or our history book with some, and I think I still have those digitalized if I can find them. I'm not sure where the photos are right now, but I think I have them on a disc.
Cool. Yeah, that would be really great, Terry. And then you can, we'll probably have that, just everything directed to the communications email. So we can put that out there, just the communications committee.
The other
'Cause
thing, the other thing I would, I might be able to find out is, the city archives has some photos, historical photos of our neighborhood, which I have copies of because they've been put up on a website on the, on the internet. And I think that we might be able to use those since they're already on a website. One is an example where these, cause development is, it shows kind of like a pre 7-Eleven type store, kind of more of a garden thing, big Alpenrose sign there. I think it was 1962. There's several along Sandy, and there's a couple of others that I've downloaded. So I do have those as well. We may be able to use those.
Cool. Yeah, that would be great, Terry. If it doesn't go in the feature part, we can definitely put it in the photos. And then we
Sure.
also have like a history section in the website. So you'll see a lot of the same things that we have right now. They're just going to be cleaned up. We're going to just have some stuff bigger so that it can be featured. So instead of currently, like, we just basically have the same thing duplicated on the front page. And so we're going to just have that in one space. And then we'll have the blog. We're going to do a lot of kind of our current information via blog posts. That's kind of how it is now. So that's your meeting invites. That's the follow up to the general meeting with the resources, like, hey, did you enjoy the meeting? Here's more stuff. So that'll all be kind of through the blogging feature of the website. It's also really easy to push that information out to our social media feeds from that feature. So it like auto pushes. So it'll be a little bit more consistent across our platforms. And then
Is the blogging feature Slack? Or is it a
the
different
blog is
platform?
just on the website. It's just like what they call it when you just do like the post.
Got it.
But we can put like as like ways to contact or be involved. We can add Slack to that. It's just, here's another way. I guess it would probably be good to figure out, if that's how much you want to open that up, like invite only, or, like, is it like keeping it to the committees, or is it just to everybody? So we can kind of approach that, but definitely can put that there. The other thing about putting things in the blogging through the blogging feature is it is all searchable. So we don't need to have a bunch of folder, like basically drop down folder menus at the top. So it should be actually just a little bit easier to find information. And then other updates, we, and Richard already talked about it. We received funds for ad renewals. We got a new advertiser just today. We're going to do a little bit more work on our community partnerships. I don't know if anybody else has shared our community partnership information, but we are going to post advertising rates and community partnership information on the website as well, so that people don't have to dig around for it. And then if you'd like, I'll do like the events. Oh, we did kind of the events. Events was just a update on the general meeting. And then we talked about the submission of the application. I'll follow up with Joe just to make sure that we're all on the same page. And we can follow up with Jeffrey about when we should hear about the grant. So
Great.
That's what I have.
Thank you so much. It's a lot. Okay. Don, do you have anything for safety?
I have nothing new in the safety committee report since through January. I did talk at the last neighborhood emergency team meeting to folks about the general meeting and the segment on emergency preparedness. They said that they were going to provide somebody to listen in and maybe talk a little bit about some of the materials that the NETS team could provide. I did review the membership meeting. I couldn't find the breakout session on emergency preparedness, but I did hear something in the summary, so I assume that they mentioned something about the NETS and some of the ways that they could help with emergency preparedness And there's also the opportunity in some of the other events that we're planning to have some NETS material available for neighbors that attend. So that's what I've got for that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have the RCPNA, playground project, which no one's here to talk about. So does anyone know anything about where they are on raising money?
The only thing that I've heard is that, and I think you know this too, Tamara, that the parks, what is it? The not the board, but the
Parks
supporting of-
Foundation.
Parks Foundation. That's the word I was looking for. Is supporting it, and I don't know whether they're supporting it financially, but they are supporting it.
Okay. Well, we got Zachary with us. Those of you who haven't met Zach, he's one of our newer members on our Land Use and Transportation Committee. And he has been also one of our leads in working on the sponsor circle for the Afghan family. You want to give us an update on how that's going?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My kids are bedded and washed and read to and in bed. So sorry for my late arrival. We are trying to find a little more information about what resources are available from the state, who recently passed some funding for that, and also some of the kind of nuts and bolts about how to provide some of the really nitty-gritty, like bureaucratic support. So like immigration support, SNAP benefits, interacting with the government. We are hardworking, intelligent people, but we don't necessarily know the ins and outs of the bureaucratic stuff. And so we're trying to iron that out before we have a family welcomed into our neighborhood. So that's kind of where we are now. And the ball is moving quickly, which is nice, but we're still trying to get the nitty gritty details before someone lands.
Zachary, have you connected with ERCO?
Yes, that's one of the things we're doing right now. One of the challenges is that families who come through the Sponsor Circle program waive their access to resettlement, federally funded resettlement agencies. And so places like ERCO and Lutheran Community Services, they do get a lot of money from the feds. And so we're trying to figure out how we can still leverage those resources, which we don't have an answer to. And that's kind of why we're a little bit on hold, trying to make sure we have an answer to that.
I did get an email back from Ecumenical Ministries, and they would be happy to work with us. They have legal aid and other services available through.
That's awesome.
them.
Yeah. So our core group of folks is meeting regularly and conversing probably, I guess I'd say more than daily. We talk all the time. And so we should have more answers in the coming days, maybe week or two. So it's exciting. We're really excited. And hi, Dawn. I owe you a phone call.
I also heard back from Wayne Stoll saying that they do still have a 2-bedroom apartment available possibly right now. And I offered, I wanted to see what they could do to hold it for us, or if we could, one of us could put it in our name and then transfer it into the family's name.
Great.
One thing that one of the families groups, I think out of Minnesota, said they did a guarantee from the members in the sponsor circle to identify that they would be providing the money for them to use that site. Or
this is kind of an all call. I mean, this is where we're continually putting the word out. What Tamara's referencing is long-term housing for the family. So it's hard to secure that in Portland. We all know that. But if anyone knows, if you've got people in your contact circle who knows someone who's got a 2-bedroom or more place they want to rent to us, maybe we have this lead that would be an apartment, but that's what we're looking for, especially something that's on transit lines, because our family won't be driving, at least early on.
And this apartment is for $1,290.
That's hard to beat. That would be great. Yeah.
Tamara?
Yeah.
Dare I ask where this apartment is, or is it in our, well, let's put it this way, is it in our neighborhood or is it not in our neighborhood?
It is
Can we-
at the Lanai,
Okay, that's fine.
47th and Broadway.
Yeah, because that's the only Stoll property I know that's in our neighborhood.
Yeah, he also, another one came open in his units over on Gleason.
Yeah,
They're right across from Providence.
I know where they are. Yeah.
But I prefer to keep them in the neighborhood as much as possible.
If they're going to be our sponsor, that's kind of what I would think too. But that's the reason I asked the question.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Zach. Okay, we're at the end of our agenda. Are there any questions or new business that wasn't raised at the meeting that you want to talk about, or some recap of the topics? So what I've got is a whole list of things to do. Somehow I keep on doing this, it's like, damn, right. All right. Deadline for newsletter articles, February 9th. And so the idea there is we would have not only a general membership meeting article, which will be on candidate sphere, but also garage sale potentially with the date, if it's going to be in May. And then an article about land acknowledgement. And there's a call for photos, anything in landscape format to be added to the gallery that we're going to be putting on the website. And Jennifer's leading that up. I will talk with Steph about the garage sale date. Terry is going to hammer out when those other entities, neighborhoods are having their garage sale. So even, check online, do Zoom, whatever you need to do to find that out. I've got
I feel guilty that I didn't get it, but I had an interruption in between where I was out of town and I had to get ready to go out of town. And
I understand. All right, now we've got a tentative date of July 23rd and 30th for the concerts in the park. And Jennifer's going to follow up with Joe on Hollywood's participation in that. We also have the possibility of the golf course being one of the locations for that concert in the park. And but Terry's going to be our contact in regards to that, as far as coordinating that. I would personally prefer for us to go ahead and keep it separate, because then we get to have Pass the Hat, and that raises money for us. So I'd rather us.
Makes sense, Tamara. It does.
I'd rather for us to plan so we don't conflict with them. So
Okay.
so let's
So
keep
you're
track
telling
of
me
that.
that's a date that we don't want then
Right, exactly.
for their golf course thing.
Right.
I shouldn't say there, for our CNN golf course thing, because there's representatives from Madison South, representatives from Roseway,
Right.
the
All
Bluff
three neighborhoods.
group that's clearing the bluff. They've got representatives. Golfers have representatives.
Yes. Yes. It's really quite amazing to see all these participants in one meeting. I really I think it's great. It's about time, but the golf course is looking at trying to make itself more viable. And with that, they have initiated the discussion of getting a pathway around the golf course that would be open to the public, which was not at all in any of our conversations. So I'm not quite sure where that's going to be. But the celebration that they're proposing is going to be community-wide, and to introduce people to golf, also have entertainment in the evening, and have tours of the golf field itself, and maybe raffles. I don't know, but some people brought up the idea of history of the golf course, doing
That was me.
interpretation. Yeah, so it should be a really fun community day. And I think we might be able to, if we can get a date from them, for us to go ahead and add that to our articles. So that would be a nice article to have for this upcoming newsletter.
Yeah,
At
right
least
now, I don't even know of a meeting that's scheduled, so.
Well, if you could get maybe just information, maybe you could write that article saying
Yeah.
this is happening. You know.
And speaking of something else to write an article on, why don't you write something about your sponsorship group? Have somebody within the group come up and say, hey, this is what's going on in your neighborhood. We've got folks anticipated to come in. We're working in the background to get all of this done. You know, it's not something that the association is sponsoring, but it is happening in our neighborhood, and it's folks who are involved.
Zach, could you take that on for us?
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Okay.
Who's our contact for, where do those go, the letters go, or who's the main editor or whatever of the newsletter?
Just send it to editor. It's Linda Hoskins is her name.
Okay.
Editor at rcpna.org. We'll get to her.
Yes.
Say what, I'm sorry, say that one more time, Richard.
Editor,
Editor at,
rcpna.org.
awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Kelly is going to check on access to the German American Society for the candidates fair, if we can set that up in person. We also have the worksheet listed in the chat line, which has data in it on the candidates fair, on concerts in the park, all the different things that need to be scheduled as far as events, to help give you a sense of all the different items that need to be considered as we're moving forward for these projects. I will do a supportive note as a broadcast in Nextdoor about the issue of racism that was raised by the owners of Nextdoor, and that we support everyone taking charge of helping moderate to keep racism and racist comments out. Because even if you are not a moderator, you can tag it and say, this is not correct. So I think just, calling on people to do their very best to take care of our public commons, which Nextdoor has gotten to be kind of crazy right now. Okay. I will finish up the letter to Scott Cohen. Work with Kelly on letter to the city engineer about sidewalks, and double check on Roger Gonzalez, who's coming to our land use and transportation meeting this month and talking about the Cully TIF. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, weren't you gonna do something in terms of a letter regarding Sacramento?
Yeah, that's the letter to Scott Cohen.
Oh, okay, all right.
And the other thing, we'll be working on contacting potential candidates for city government
Yes,
for March general meeting.
And
that's right.
Richard,
Yes, sir.
do we have a good supply of history books?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I'm just, and this is just a subjection at my point, at my thought, but if we have this golf day, there's some information in there about
There is.
the golf course, and it might give us an opportunity to be able to have a little table and try to sell some of those.
We might even give them a discount.
Okay, well, whatever you want to do, but I mean, it's just, it might be, it may be an opportunity for us, and I will try to remember to bring that up when we do have a committee meeting.
Yeah, thanks.
Good idea. Good idea. Okay. One thing that Stephanie also mentioned is it would be nice for us to have some swag. And so something that we could, also sell, maybe decals. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
How many you got, Jennifer? Oh, boy. Yes.
And we have to get that, on our website for whatever price it is going to be, $10 a piece. I don't know, but let's get it out there.
I think we bought them for $2 a piece. I think that we could give some away and have like a raffle, or like you could do like a donation type, like you get a bag if you donate. Like
Anything.
they've been in my house for a long time. And so I can probably give some more to Helene. They were purchased, just for folks that weren't here, they were purchased as kind of a thank you to our newsletter delivery teams, so they could have something to carry the newsletters as they were kind of getting around. And they wasn't a huge outlay, but I gave them the number of delivery folks plus 15% maybe, but I still have a lot because I got a really great deal, and the people from the company that made them calls me all the time. So anyway, I thought that they could be nice for some kind of giveaway type thing, but we've been on Zoom essentially since we ordered them.
Yes.
So I'm not having people come by my house to get them. So when we get out into like the real world again, maybe we can do something like, a pretty easy fundraiser, like something maybe.
Okay. We'll also consider the idea of raffle items for if we do this in person meeting with a candidates fair. Because we're talking about possibly doing the candidates fair in person.
Who would like to track down people for raffle items if it wasn't these bags that are in my house? Because that can be kind of time consuming, and I have a lot of things going on.
Okay, well, let's table that, and let's think about that for the future, because we got a lot going on right now. My list is really long right now. So, okay. We are at just about 9:00. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Good night.